Right, so years ago, I've tested, when I used to build turbo systems, Plenums and exhaust manifold, I've tested. Do you remember I made that video? I've tested one of my exhausts.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's for.
I think it's on, I think I've got that video on my YouTube channel somewhere.
Yeah, it's
about a decade ago.
It's very simple because obviously it applies to the exhaust system and how the merge collectors works. Because the design of the merge collectors is to be at the angle very, very shallow, so the gas is going from one port, extract through friction between the gas particles the gases from the other port. When it's twin scroll, you have 1 and 4. So when there is a combustion in this one, there is a bigger pulse on this because you have the combustion opens up to clean it, and the other one is on the cleaning cycle. So cleans obviously the old gases inside the combustion chamber. So when this extracts air there and it helps this to extract these gases here, what it does, it helps that cylinder to create more space for the fresh air. Yeah, which is very important. It's very simple. The plenums is on the other side, is how to decide how you decide. It decides how the engine works, distributes the air. People thinking all it matters is pressure. What people forget about is the flow direction.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they forget we're all in pressure right now. Everything's pressure.
It's atmospheric pressure.
Yeah.
And it's quite strong.
We're already at 15 psi.
Exactly. So,
well, 14.5, whatever.
So let's say this is highly scientific, obviously. If I simulate adding flow into this plenum, right? Of course it's different because you say, you know, if the turbo is not working, it's suction, so it's easier. Yeah, there is suction, it's easier. However, you can still have effects of how much suction.
It's still the relative, has
been robbed from these ones too, you know. But we're simulating boost, so adding some air into it. Like you know, we can agree we're adding some flow into it, trying to see how it flows. This is very simple to see how much air goes from the one port, second, third, and fourth, roughly, because the plenum is supposed to be designed to distribute this air equally. Because if not, if this is going to start from air, this is going to have a lot of air, then you're going to have this cylinder running very lean and this very rich. Also, this cylinder is going to make a different horsepower than this one. Right?
And to make it, and the thing is, with the rich and the lean thing, it kind of swaps NA to boosted.
Yeah.
So, for example, when one of them is
before
on NA,
boost,
before the boost, one of them would be running super rich or super lean, and then on boost, it swaps over. There's no sort of two ways about that. It does one or the other. If it's not equal, it stays not equal. It just swaps if it's rich or lean, basically. Yeah. So
and effects on the engine are drastic. That's why usually tuners do roughly richer, because they account in, you know, some cylinders going to run leaner than what the lambda sees, because lambda is just the sums of all of it together, you know, in one bucket, but then they don't actually know what individual cylinder does. With the modern GCU, with more sensors on like GT, GRs, in each individual exhaust runner, we can monitor that, but usually
that's very high-end stuff, isn't it? So
this is standard. It's like, but Audi and Volkswagen and Toyota and stuff, they're not stupid, they do it. No, the thing is, this is production stuff, so it have to be low cost to give you the car low cost. And at the levels these are normally, it doesn't matter that much, because he's not creating a dangerous situation. When we start pumping 2.5-3 bar of boost into modified engine with bigger cams, so the flow is amplified, the flow, what happens here is greatly amplified, so any issues is amplified. So let's just have a look if I'm talking shit or not. Right? So this is nearly sucking, actually. Look, there's nothing. The further you go, the more flow on this. So clearly, like this is, the direction goes there. This cylinder receives more air, this less, and this fuck all.
Yeah. Well, this is exactly why even from the factory, and you see it on aftermarket plenums. If anyone wonders why plenums are always tapered on turbo cars, smaller at the furthest one, is because naturally that gets more. But even this one, even though it is slightly tapered, this is receiving far more. And this is under no real pressure, just a bit of,
obviously,
you know.
the pressure will help a little, because when you start adding pressure in the plenum, when you see, for example, 2 bar is a measurement of a restriction, because you have the engine, which in this case is restriction, because you have constant airflow, constant boost from the turbo. But the way the cylinders ingest that air is by opening valves and closing them. When the valve is closed, there is a resistance, obviously. So this cylinder will benefit from the other pressure. You know, it will ingest that air because it will be forced anyway. But we're talking about flow, and that you can't just discard. It's still very, very important, because obviously the higher the RPMs, the higher the boost, the higher the flow, and this effect is much bigger. I'm just simulating slowly here. Now let's have a look on my prototype plenum, which this should be done differently. I've already seen a little bit of a flaw on this. I'm not 100% happy already with this. Now, this is the entire plenum. This plenum will not work with this pipe, and I'm going to explain why after we've done the basic test. Right? So I already ported too much, actually quite a lot of porting for this, too much there in the head. Surprising. This is the plenum on this. The ports are substantially smaller, about around 3 millimeters all around.
I think what it is when they originally made the big port heads, it was like homologation reasons. They didn't need it for power. They knew that. I think they made the early ones big port to homologate it for like Group A, like motorsport.
Always have a throttle body here because I couldn't connect the round pipe to flat flange. So, and this is crucial. This is needed. I can't just spray air into there straight from my gun. I show you the differences with this, without this, and this moved. It's actually quite a lot. But let's first see if this actually works. So what this does, this have these welded in vanes, which they should be visible here. There you go. Try to distribute. So I've divided this into 4 parts here. When it starts to expand, and there's 1, 2, actually 3 parts, but equally. So you have the center 2 and these 2. Now, this calculation is a bit of a bullshit, because it changes with the amount of flow, because the amount of flow changes its direction. The denser the air, so at a higher speed, have a different direction. So it's a bit roughly. You can't have it perfect for all the speeds of the air, in lame words. But let's have a look, just compared to that. Same flow, same air gun, blah blah blah. So we start with this one first, yeah? And we're gonna go across just like this. We're gonna hold it higher, because if not, it's gonna blow it. So this immediately makes the engine, God knows how much more efficient, loads more efficiency. Now, when I say I'm not completely happy with it, because this is not very scientific, when I put my hand on it, I can feel that this cylinder feels like slightly more flow than this. Again, by feeling the air coming out. Maybe I'm paranoid, you're gonna feel it. Actually,
Do you want me to do it now?
Go on.
Maybe a tiny bit, maybe 3 and 4 tiny. I don't know, but I know what you're saying. But it's very small.
That is that guesswork between the vanes when you position it. Again, I've done it purely by my eye. It should be like this. I got half a day to do it. Let's try. That's it.
It was an experiment.
Obviously, once it works roughly there, you can optimize it. It means it'll be there. I will never do it, because that's how my stuff works.
Thing is, I want one already now. I've seen this.
Now. So let's have a look why this is part of the plenum and is a crucial part of the center feed. Because let's assume, this is the bend, okay? And if you look at this bend, I'm trying to make it, because obviously I have to feed it from this side, and I have to feed the air straight into it. Because we have 1, 2, 3 separated chambers. They're not completely separated, but they have kind of like these vanes invite the flow to go in one direction or another. So, let's say I put this one this way. So the flow, although this, let's presume this, you have a boost pipe and you have a 90-degree elbow to go into your plenum, center feed plenum. This is something that a lot of people have a wrong. How you feed the air through the body and the initial part of the plenum is very crucial. You have this part which is straight. You say, okay, I'm gonna stabilize the flow, and it's gonna be distributed equally here. Well, let's have a look. Here. Now, there's...
I don't know how well you could do it from...
Yeah.
Like, let me angle it from the side, you probably see it.
Now you can see it, but this...
I feel these are less.
This is substantially lower than this.
Yeah.
Again, we're just playing, you know, kindergarten, whatever you want to call it here. It's very low. Actually, this is high scientific. We don't have the numbers. This is the results of the numbers, or whatever you want to call it, you know. Very low speed, because we want proper more airflow, all the stuff and some gauges. But you can clearly see this is substantially less than this. The plenum works, but the way you feed that air, it still has resistance. Why? Because this air bounces all of, because air has a direction, it has a density. When it makes an elbow, like goes on the corner here, the centrifugal force and the speed of the air wants to have it on external of the wall. Like you ride a motorcycle, you know, you lean because it's a flat surface, but if you have the wall, you can have endless speed because you go on the wall of death, whatever they call it on the motorcycles. That's why, you know, they fight the gravity. Exactly the same happens here. So when you have the air going here, through the body, and then from here bounces, because it has lower pressure here, it bounces more towards that way. Hence we have more flow here and less flow here. Even though the direction of the flow, if you're thinking, it will have this with advantages. Now it's the opposite, it bounces through. This is the same principles I use to design the exhaust manifolds. To have the flow, it's like a voltage. You have the flow coming inside, you never break it. The way you construct the elbows, you can break the flow inside a runner, or you can keep that flow inside the runner. What happens, you create these turbulences. Turbulences create heat, and they slow the flow down. So though the principles could be there, but the shape of the runners break it. It is very important. Now, half a bar, 1 bar, doesn't matter, you know, stuff like this works. But when we start talking big cams, a lot of flow going through the head, you know, the engine is able to actually chew and spit out a lot of gases. The way you inject it and the way you extract it is probably even more important than the engine itself.
I agree.
You know, because it is, you have, in this case, you have 4 little air compressors, and they amplify whatever you inject in. Now, do we agree that we have a common crank, and you want all 4 of them working at least roughly making the same kind of power? Because power is pulses on the crank. When you have all 4 of them completely different, you know, what's gonna happen?
Exactly. Well, this is the thing, it's not even just power. I mean, the power is, yeah, the obvious one. But what everyone always forgets, and the main usefulness for this, is the reliability thing, as in equal flow. Because no matter what, if you, like Thomas said earlier, 99% of the cars have got a single lambda sensor, usually a single or no EGT. So it's all an average, exactly like Thomas said. So if one's lean, one's rich, you do an average, which is why tuners generally, like your air fuel ratio, especially on boosted cars, the reason it's rich isn't because it has to be that rich, but that is a safe enough rich to be rich enough for the leanest cylinders, which is exactly why if you happen to fit, you know, the non-scientific but obvious when you see it, you fit a more equal flow in plenum to a car, suddenly it becomes much more detonation resistant. And that isn't because of any kind of magic. That's because there's an equal amount, like, well, it's not any kind of magic, but it's because the lambda sensor is actually telling you a more correct version of the AFR everywhere. So suddenly it can run either more boost or leaner according to the lambda sensor for, you know,
you're able to
for
choose
the same
the
engine.
more
Yeah,
precisely.
because like Thomas said about the 4 little air compressors, all of them are the same now. Because if you can have 4, but if they're all getting different amounts of air, one's going to be running lean, one's going to be running
Very
rich.
simple. With this one, you're gonna run what, 2.5 bar?
Yeah.
My use is better than this
Yeah.
because I told you don't fucking use that.
No.
Even though people say no, it's gonna work.
These are proven to make
But the thing
power,
is,
but it's the difference with.
this is the very important thing. There's massive argument about this because, so yeah, but mine works. Yeah, but it's not if it works or it doesn't, because you can make 3 bar of pressure and the engine is gonna work on this. It will work, it will make power. We're talking efficiency. The pure power, the proper power comes from efficiency. The more you push it, the more efficient it has to be, because that's where you squeeze the horsepower. Now this one here, when you inject obviously 2.5 bar of this, you know your lambda sensor is gonna read some number that you're gonna want, right? You target lambda, whatever. But you already know now that this one is gonna be extremely lean and this one extremely rich. What you're having is a sums of these two. That doesn't change the fact that this, from that sum, is much richer and this is much leaner. So what you tend to do is to think in how much of a difference it could be and make the overall slightly richer so the lean one is not as lean as is dangerous. But how do you know this? You can't. Unless you have individual sensors, you know, blah blah, and map them individually. But even that, I call it bullshit, because if you have this cylinder, which is much richer, this is much leaner, you have more air, more boost on this, so you're gonna tune this individually and tune this individually. When this one is gonna make much more power, this is gonna make much less power. And then we're talking the power is distributed on the crank. So it's bullshit.
Yeah, it's like it's a bandage.
Exactly.
Exactly. It will stop it blowing up.
Yeah.
It will make it run a bit better, but it's still not right.
It's far from efficient.
Yeah.
So that's why I was actually quite successful designing the Plenum as an exhaust manifold, making engines very, very efficient, cool, no detonation. It's just
Well,
good.
a perfect example of that, and it's an engine people know, is my old RB20 that you built, the EcoFlow Plenum. It was a standard compression and all that RB20 on normal pump fuel, no water meth, no magic, no nothing, running, you know, no knock control. It was running a HKS FCON Silver, so proper old school ECU. Couldn't do anything special. With the standard Plenum, as you can imagine, it ran, I don't know, I can't remember what they managed before it was, you know, becoming, you know, coming into knock issues.
Yeah.
1.5 bar maybe, I can't remember, maybe not even that. It was not a lot, I remember that. Yeah, I can't remember. And then when we put the EcoFlow Plenum on, he ran as high as 2 bar on my engine, and it was not even trying to deck. Same engine, different inlet, same engine, and that purely would have been because the flow was basically more equal, so there wasn't an average of, because the trouble is as well, even if you knew one was running super lean, for example, so you richened it up overall, if the spread is too far gone, you can't richen that one up enough, because it would make, you can't richen it up enough because it would drown the others. And again, you're only guessing, and obviously on a 6-cylinder it's even more widespread. So yeah, the EcoFlow, he literally ran over 2 bar boost, I think it was, and it's still no sign of debt. We had to actually turn it down because we ran out of ignition, not like we wasn't debt limited even on pump fuel. And but people, well, as you know, people don't pay half as much attention to this as they should. You know.
No, it is very important. Now this one, the reason why I'm too happy with this one, I actually drawn it on with a bit of a marker pen, because as much as this outside looks okay, but if you look at it, because you can't just take an account this. It's like inviting to go that direction, this inviting that direction. You have to account the whole width of the runner. When they meet, this one is going straight. This one is starting going slightly on the angle because you have a little bit of a wall here and starting the elbow there. But to change the direction, it will have to hit either the elbow somewhere there, you know, and this be more amplified. Otherwise, the change in the direction is going to be very little, like we've seen on this. There is by little. So when this flow and this flow, they hit each other, I'm not saying they're 90 degrees, but quite close. So I say I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some back pressure in this. So some of the flow is gonna work his way out on this way. Majority of obviously this way because it's easier and it's already the direction there, but some of it is gonna hit this. And same vice versa. The flow from this, it will want to enter here a little. At least what you want is neutral, so when you push the air here, nothing goes out of this. That's the least. The optimum, the way I used to design them, is on the shallower angle, and you're using the stickiness of the molecules of the gas for the drag effect, and they're gonna drag one into another. So this is the video I made. Actually, you can find it.
I'll see if I find it and use it as part of this.
Yeah, so when you blow into this rune creates no vacuum but lower pressure, and you can feel suction from here. And that suction helps, obviously, that cylinder to empty from the gases. And I'll show you how it works, because you're thinking, well, maybe it's not that big of a difference. Well, fuck me, it is. It takes nothing. So we're gonna try, because this is twin screws, so 1 and 4 work together, and 2 and 3 work together. So you can't test these two when you blow here, because this is gonna separate it, look. You see? No effect, but it has effect on this, look. You see on it?
Physically stuck in here.
It's not bad. Let's see how it moves. Let's try this way. This way. So that this is unequal. This one drags this a little better, but when you flow this one,
not as good.
Is worse. Look.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is sort of neutral. It doesn't give it a hand, but it doesn't blow into it. Now, when this cylinder, you have a pulse, it blows into this one a little. Again, it's all happening very fast. The gas is going out in one direction already. We're talking pressures, because you open the valves and you have a lot of pressure inside the cylinder. You want to extract it, you want to blow it out. So what you have here is a resistance. What you want is less resistance as possible. When it's designed properly, you don't have the resistance. You have something trying to extract the gases through. So the difference between blowing into it or away from it is huge, especially when you start amplifying. This is pure amount of flow. When you imagine full power, this is whoa. Now let's try this too. This is not bad. This is bad. Unfortunately, these two don't work together, and these two don't work together. But at least both screws are equal.
Yeah.
Because they work a bit shitty, both of them.
For basically a modified standard NA manifold, it's good. It's just not what you would do.
Because if you get, for example, this is your normal. Hold on, let me get this out. Merge collector, like traditional one.
Okay.
This one's got a massive hole here.
Trouble is, you got the holes in the injector ports as well. You can't really test it like that.
Can't really test.
No, but I know what you're saying. If it's a typical log manifold, it'd be far worse.
Shows you this.
Yeah.
The difference is massive. That's why I say, unfortunately, yes, they work because they seal. You have the pressure, but it's not the pressure that you really want. You can't concentrate only on the pressure. Pressure is a consequence. What you want is the amount of air, is air density, and amount of that air to each cylinder equally. This is the main thing. Period. Now, different plenums, different ideology. This is an experimental because I never have done one. The traditional equal flow ones, they work good. The my ones, they work better because we prove it. But yeah, it's fucking important.
Way more important.
It's more important than people think.
Yeah.
And I've seen even GTRs with the shitty fucking planes like, oh, it works, it's been proven it works. Well, just because the engine is making 800 brakes, it's not a proof that the plane works good. It's proof of fuck all for the flow and the way it flows. It's not. The only proof you can have if you do physical testing like this on the flow bench, you can see like we've done now, but it'll be more sophisticated. You have control flow and you have gauges, so you can see the numbers, because people like to see the numbers. When you feel it, it's like not enough. Well, it's enough for me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's proven. It's not like you're just making something up. We've been doing this shit for years, and we did these experiments years ago, and then they've been on loads of cars since, and it works. You know what I mean? It's like you might you could sit here maybe if you want and think, oh, they're talking shit. Go look back at like old videos from like 20 years ago. I mean, or actually no, ignore us. Go look at proper turbo race engines, even from the early 80s. Exactly the same. This isn't new technology. This is just like correct, you know.
But now I know that this against this,
100 times
a
better.
world of difference.
Yeah.
I already know. Is this perfect? I already know it's not. And in my eyes, I would like to see just exactly the same amount of flow through all of them. But again, like I said, once I start adding density here, maybe the effect is going to be slightly less, maybe slightly more. I cannot be sure.
I think it's also one of those cases of the percentages thing, as in,
Yeah.
like the last 10%, which probably doesn't matter, would take 90% of the time.
I'm pretty sure I can design perfect Plenum where it distributes the flow perfectly. But it's not easy, and I don't think it's worth doing it. Pursue that because it's gonna take a long time. I mean, the improvement between one and the other is so huge anyway. I'm just gonna take my win.
Yeah.
Even if it's not complete. Exhaust, it does bother me.
I mean, you kind of knew it would anyway, because it's just a standard NA Passat log manifold. Well, not log manifold.
But the problem
Passat
is
cast manifold.
that what it looks like is deceiving. Because it looks like, by the look of it, it's like, oh look, it's
Yeah,
invited,
I suppose
you know?
it looks more.
It looks better than it is.
It looks more gradual than it is
Yeah.
as well.
The effects are not too, but it's twin scroll, it's strong. The port size are, you know, what it should be. It's just
I think as a stage one sort of thing,
Yeah.
as in for your car, it would be more than capable. But yeah, in the future maybe. But don't. I wouldn't fret on it right now.
the thing is, this works sort of alright. I'm not gonna change because all my stuff is like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, and it's been there for
Yeah.
10 years because I got more important stuff to do.
I think the inlet side, from a safety point of view, is the most important one, and I think that is absolutely brilliant, to be fair. Even without doing the old hand testing, just from like experience and looking at it and whatever, even though some people looked at those dividers when a few people, when we posted the pictures before, were like, oh my god, that's so stupid. It's like, mate, do you not know what you don't understand how it works? It's like, I instantly look at the dividers and know the opposite. It just works.
Of course, it's stupid. If you don't understand and you're scared of
Everything.
it,
Well, yeah.
you want to say something instead of asking how it works. You can learn something. Which is stupid. All right.
Twin plenum inlets have always got that reputation, haven't they? Every time anyone says a conventional twin plenum inlet, if they've never seen one before, they're like, oh my god, that's the worst flowing, stupidest manifold I've ever seen. It's like, because you don't understand it then. You know?
They clearly work,
Yeah.
and they work very
So,
good. So
but
yeah,
yeah.
even this. So this is the Plenum. So
Yeah.
you see now why this wouldn't work with
Yeah.
this.
Apologies. Yeah, this is the thing as well. I was wondering, I was about to say a minute ago, to explain this a bit more, but now you've rotated it, it's far more obvious straight away why. Because straight. Whereas when he changes the angle,
Yeah, you want to stabilize the flow direction without going
Yeah.
bias left and right before enters the straight
Yeah.
of here. This is very important. Because only if you have equal amount of air here, you can have that distributed equally here. Because if you have more into that direction, no matter what you've designed here, it's going to be compromised.
exactly.
Now, also, why the elbows? You say, okay, why don't you make a pipe here, an elbow here, and just a bit of straight? Well, first you will space. You don't have a space. You will have to have that pipe very long, and even that is not going to be that good. Having the elbow. So what elbow does, and if you can see, it does kind of here, goes on the angle here, but from here is already straight.
Straight, yeah.
And I'm using this section of the elbow to push the air on the external side of this pipe, squeezing in there. So when squeezing, I'm forcing it to have the direction which is straight here. If this was kind of straight, I'm not saying the air bounces left and right, but it has turbulences and it's a bit less vague because you have it distributed through the whole 3 inch. Here is distributed, I'm forcing it on the external wall. The more speed of the air, the more air density, the more stable the flow is going to be. So this is safer. On low RPMs, low boost, it works good. The more you amplify the boost, the more you amplify the high flow, the better this stabilizes. You know? And that's what you want. Because some of the plenums, like equal flow plenums, like I said, they're good. I've designed them, and I've built them, but it's always for that specific engine, that turbo, that much of the airflow, roughly. Because below that, they're not efficient, and after that, they're not efficient.
They're restrictive, yeah.
They are restricted. You have this range of use. The center fit plenums, like I said, they work the opposite. The higher you go with the air density and speed, the better they work. You know, but also they have their own use. It's packaging. The size is.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
yes, you couldn't put it in a matter because.
It's gigantic, yeah.
Look, this is the cylinder head. We have the bulkhead, which is roughly here. So this, obviously, I don't have the bulkhead, but this is how it looks like roughly on the engine.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a donkey.
It's packaging constraints. But another thing I was going to say regarding the importance of the pre-throttle one is another good example. Again, because people are always really skeptical, aren't they? Especially when it's like us, people like us, normal people. So people think that's like, you know, maybe you might think, oh, that's weird, he's just making up stories, even though it's common sense anyway. But you look at a lot of factory cars, Mercedes is the best. Whoever used to design 90s Mercedes engines had a good understanding of this. You look at, I don't know about modern ones, so maybe it's just Mercedes thing, but 90s ones especially, you look at any of the V6 and V8 Mercedes, the M113 engines and so on. So you've got inlet plenum, obviously it's got an end feed. Imagine this, but with ports either side. And then it goes throttle body, and then it's got because of packaging constraints, because the bulkhead's in the way, it has to have a 90-degree elbow before the throttle body. It has to have a 90-degree elbow before the throttle body because of packaging constraints. But lo and behold, that throttle body has got dividers to try and keep the air in the middle. Yeah. So otherwise, it would go along the back wall and it wouldn't divide in the plenum properly. But it's got dividers there. And also, weirdly, and I don't understand this because maybe I don't understand superchargers well enough, but on the Mercedes C230 compressor, it's got very tight 180-degree bend, again, so not very good for being straight, into the compressor inlet.
Okay.
And it's aluminium, so it's strong as hell. But that's also got guide vanes. Yeah. So there must be a reason, compressor efficiency, even on a supercharger, where again to distribute it more centrally is useful. And this is a production car at relatively low power, and they're doing it.
The changes in air density through elbows when you apply it, when you start flowing it at high speeds, is substantial. It's much more than people think. The problem is people have sort of limited imagination because we're talking air. Looks like nothing.
Can't see it.
Feels like nothing. So it's not accounted for. It's just pressure. It's not pressure, it's gas, it's flow, it's density. So I always say, to better imagine and better grasp the idea of that, imagine water. Because fluid works like gas when you start having flow at high speed. It's just easier to imagine because it has bigger effects. So imagine you're trying to have a high flow of water from your hose. It has a direction. If I'm gonna spray that water there, where do you think it's gonna go? It's gonna go magically say, hold on, 1/4 of the amount of me spraying in has to do a sharp 90-degree elbow and go in that direction. There's a junction. There is no junction here. This is free flowing, and the nature, wants to push it in a natural ways, straight forward. Same with the air. The air wants to go straight forward till it can't anymore. And there you have it. Very little flow, So it's not even that amplified. How big of a difference?
Yeah. It's also why, for example, because Thomas, you mentioned the water example, because obviously water's heavier, so you've got a bigger, same as fuel. Fuel is heavier, so it's got an even more drastic, but pressurized air. It's a weight thing. Pressurized gas, it's a weight thing. Basically, the heavier something is, the more drastic it's going to be. Which is why, again, if you can't imagine it, imagine the air, imagine fuel. Look at an engine with a single carburetor. Where's the carburetor injecting the fuel? It's almost always as roughly as central in the inlet plenum as it can, so it can distribute it as near as you never have a carburetor on the end where the throttle body is.
No,
because that would be madness. Yeah. It would be roughly in the middle. Work. And it's the same, on V8s. You've got a V8, the plenum, it's injected in the middle because that is roughly.
There's a company in America, these guys, something called Gasoline and something. They have that MR2, they put the 2GR engine, the V6 on the back.
Gasoline and gears or something. I know the name, I don't know. I've never seen them, I don't know anything about this. So you'll be educating me, I've never seen them.
Yeah, that's the one. They're making about 350 brakes, they say, in a commodity. They're playing with the car. But what they did, and this is one of the really good examples of not accounting for the flow and what it does and how restrictive it could be. They fitted the oil cooler because obviously it's heavier use, we have to cool the engine, oil, blah blah. We put the oil cooler in the front of the car because obviously that's the biggest of the flow, most efficient, great. But by the time they fitted everything, so you have fittings, you have lines, you have elbows, to go into places, blah blah, into the cooler and get out of it. On the oil pressure sensor chart, what they've seen is on low RPMs it was working good, but on the high RPMs, because your oil pressure should rise with the RPMs, because it's the engine needs more, and it has to be comparable, like direct. What do you call it?
It's linear or whatever, isn't it? It's like kind of like 1-to-1 ideally. Yeah.
Like RPMs, fuel, oil pressure is there. It has to be there, flow and everything. With the fittings and 90-degree elbows and the fittings inside that, what they've seen, they've lost a lot of pressure on the top.
Yeah.
Because the incorrect flow, restricted the pressure. It was making resistance.
Yeah.
And that resistance is coming just from the amount of flow. Like I say, when you start injecting air here and straight to 90 is not natural. That is not what the flow wants to do. If you start disrupting the flow, it's going to create you a resistance. That's what we're saying. Even partially, the boost is the amount of resistance you have. It's a restriction.
That thing, what you said there, is a great example of what, I don't know if we've talked about it on there, but don't forget as well, because me and Thomas have spoke about this loads of times, any extra work the air has to do to get in there is extra work for everything. So you imagine the compressor has to work harder to turn that air, to force the air to do that. So that's lower compressor efficiency. To turn the compressor harder, the turbine has to work harder. So higher back pressure. If the turbine works harder, higher back pressure, less exhaust gas can naturally come out, and so on and so on. So basically, every what Thomas is getting at, and this kind of makes it maybe clearer to some people, is any flow restriction is magnified through the entire bloody engine. Everything.
That's why this is one of the reasons you say, oh, why don't you make this, the main plenum facing down, so you could have it inside the smaller engine.
Yeah, I know.
Well, because obviously I have the space for it, but also I wouldn't do it anyway, because if this was facing down, I would have to have air going there and 90 degrees into the ports. Would that be a restriction? Now, this way, even here, not being just a 90 degree sharp to go into, but nice and smooth, and it goes straight into it. So you see, that flow, even this is continue here, because obviously I got the intercooler in the front of the car, so my boost pipes come from here, go into there nice and smooth, and all the way from the turbo, actually, from my compressor, all the way through the intercooler, back into this one, nice and smooth, and straight into the ports. There is not one single interruption of the flow. and that is very important. No one restriction. You know, you start adding elbows here, elbows there, tight ones, because the space of fitting and all the stuff, and before you know it, again, small gains or small restrictions, but a little bit here,
It adds
there,
up a lot.
the whole lot is
Yeah.
built from small
Yeah.
things. So
It's no different to when people say, you know, say like one of my engines in the past or whatever, where people always go to me, why does your engine, I don't know, spool so well or make so much power or whatever, considering it's really quite basic? It's like, because it's the thought, it's not the money spent, it's all the little things adding up and everything efficient. It's not, you know, money spent and efficiency is wildly different things.
You really don't have to have, you know, tens of hundreds of thousands of pounds of simulators, bench tests and flow tests to have the number, the exact number telling you the difference. The common sense, a little bit of knowledge of fluid dynamics and all that stuff, that's all it takes to grasp and understand how roughly this stuff works. That's enough already to build an efficient system.
Exactly.
If you know that is a restriction, you avoid it. If you know that is, you know, working with the nature, with the flow, keep at it, and that's it. Doesn't need that much.
Exactly. I mean,
I don't need a computer simulation to tell me that this flows roughly equally. I know it's not perfect, and I know this is a major problem.
Exactly. But you'll have people arguing with you with some kind of base model, really basic mathematics, thinking they're clever. It's like, hang on a minute, because this is the thing, right?
But the biggest
I am absolutely borderline special needs when it comes to maths and stuff. I am useless. I'm no scientist, I'm no mathematician, but I can understand how air moves, and that's what is actually the important thing.
People, the biggest argument is going to be, yeah, but I've made 500 breaks on a standard Plenum.
Of course you can.
Yeah, but that proves nothing. This is completely outside of this conversation.
That's not the
It's
point.
not part of an argument.
You can make
anything.
1,000,
You can make 1,000 horsepower because everything is almost wrong and working massively restrictive and still making 1,000 breaks because you have lots of fuel, lots of air, you know, lots of boost and all that stuff. You're still making that. But if the same setup was made efficient, you're probably going to make 1,300 brakes with less stress on the engine. This is what Steve Wood always came back. Shitty setup, couldn't do one lap on full power. It was like 400 brakes or whatever it was. With a proper system, full power, non-stop, no knocking, no overheating. It's just beautiful. Engine was working with no stress. Great. Is the engine efficiency?
I mean, if anyone wants to do like a bit of research, a bit of like common sense is, if you look at an engine, a race engine, a proper race engine, turbocharged one obviously, you look at if you can find an engine that's been used through a long period of time, many seasons, and it wasn't great to start with and it has improved over the years, look at the actual design of the manifolds. Every year, surprise surprise, they get gradually from quite basic to more this kind of stuff. I mean, you know, it's how it is. You look at F1 turbo engines, obviously, like Renault used the same basic V6 1.5 litre twin turbo engine from 79 to the end of F1 turbo, late 80s. Same rough engine, there was no big changes, but every time the main improvements every year you could watch was Plenum designs. It started real basic and it got better and better and better, and it's not the only difference, but they didn't leave it because they're not stupid. They made things better. It's gradual improvements. It's you know, it is what it is. Slightly not relevant to this, but it is a bit. Have you ever seen the Offie IndyCar engines that the 4 cylinders from like right back in the day, 60s and 70s? Don't know if you've ever seen them. They're amazing. It's one of my favourite engines. A lot of people want to see them, so I'm going to have to explain this a little bit. They were designed in like the 1920s, 1930s. They're really, really old, but they're 4-cylinder, 16 valve, twin cam, monoblock. You know, one block in head as one piece. So, but that's irrelevant. Anyway, they was always quite powerful for a car designed in the 70s, but the 30s, or whatever it was. But they carried on using them until like the late 70s in IndyCar because they were really like strong, not so much powerful, but strong. But the manifolds, especially in the early days, they was making like, and when it was unlimited boost, as much as like 1,000 horsepower from these like 4-cylinder. They was 2.6 litres or whatever they were. But you could see the manifolds and everything, they were crap. They were like logs basically.
Yeah.
And I clearly mega inefficient. And if you even look at like the horsepower per litre and all that, it's not amazing. And it was kind of obvious from the manifold. And I always wondered why. It's because I saw an engine that Jay Meager, it used to run Real Street Performance for Supra people. He's like does his own thing now, and he was tuning an Offie, a supercharged early one, the other day on a video. The ports and everything on an Offie, 4-cylinder, biggest I've ever seen, and valves like bigger than like a big block bloody V8.
Right.
And it's like, but it still didn't make very good power for what it was, and it was because it was the manifolds are inefficient. If somebody, nobody will, because they're like worth millions these days. But if somebody actually got one and fitted efficient stuff to it, it's obvious from the start, considering how amazing the rest of it is, that it would suddenly, like all engines, any race engine you see it, suddenly make wildly more performance.
Yeah, but the problem is this stuff. I only see it on top stuff like Formula One, really Championship, all the stuff on the top spec, and just few tuners to actually understand this stuff. Majority of people, they call it bullshit.
Yeah.
They don't see the results. It's like, no, we're making 500 brakes on this. I don't know why should we change it. We're talking crap. All right then.
Yeah. Because people.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
that's why.
frustrating when you have 90% of the population saying you're talking crap. When you actually do this stuff, design it, build it, prove it, test it, great results, and still not enough.
The wild thing is, you shouldn't need to prove it because it's proven on race cars for decades. But everyone ignores them. You know what's annoying as well? You're talking about frustrating. When you get people going, when you show them a race car setup, like intercoolers and inlet plenums have often got dividers for obvious reasons. And they go, oh, that's not a divider, that's just a strength thing.
Well,
it's like, hang on a minute, do you really believe they can't make an intercooler end cap? You know, because you could buy a Chinese 50 quid Alibaba intercooler and the end caps won't blow off at 3 bar of boost. Why would they need to strengthen their own one?
The way to strengthen the large plenums with the large flat surface is to put around bars in.
Yeah, single bars. I was going to say single bars.
Like
yeah.
for this, for example, one bar here, that would be enough.
Yeah.
It would be stupid to put anything that is directional just to reinforce it, because then you're going to break it.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit, but they're so desperate to be right.
Exactly, but you see this. The thing is, people now. There's two things. First, they want to have something to say, because it makes them feel important, I guess. And second, they want to be right more than they want to learn something.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You know, this is something I call my daughter doing recently, because he's getting pretty smart. So he's like enjoying to be, I'm right. So that started to be the goal, and it's very dangerous because that's building your ego on the wrong side. You can have the ego, but I know because I learned, because experimented, and I'm open to discussion. It's like, if I say A, you say B, why did you say
why? Yeah, exactly.
No, now it's like, you're stupid, you don't know.
Yeah.
I know better.
No.
Well, how are we gonna progress together going forward? It's bullshit. Anyways, we're stepping in dangerous conversation.
Yeah. But no.
Well, we shouldn't have recently do.
No, it's good. And this, by the way, you're gonna have another long video, because this is 48 minutes.
Is it? This is gonna be, fucking, I'm just gonna upload it as it is.
Yeah, I know, it's good. Honestly, genuinely, I would watch this. And if you're watching this till the end, say the word elephant, so I know you've watched it till the end. Because I guarantee none of you will, but put elephant in the comments if you watched it. No, but it's a bloody good video, so hopefully people have watched till the end. But we might have waffled too much near the end. But yeah, if you've genuinely watched it till the end, type the word elephant in the fucking comments.
That's going to be a fun experiment.
I bet you nobody will.
No one will.
I did a video the other day, and I actually said something in the comments about if anyone can, cause I put loads of clips from like random shit in it, like funny stuff. I said if anyone can name them, put them in the comments. Nobody mentioned it.
No. I wouldn't watch my videos. I rambled way too much. That's why I don't even watch them.
No, genuinely, I was while holding this camera. Maybe the last few minutes we rambled too much, but until then it was really good. So I hope people watch it, because you will learn a lot. So anyway, elephant. Bye.